Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 1086 of Screw the Commute podcast. I know a lot of you are working on your taxes now, and so this episode's going to be a whole load of possibly forgotten tax deductions that may apply to you. Now, I'm not giving you accounting advice. I'm not qualified to do so, but I want you to think about these things and then bring them up with your tax professional if they apply to you. And a lot of even CPAs just do the standard stuff to get you off their back at $100 or $200 an hour. And they're not very aggressive to figure out all the potential deductions you could get. So it's up to you to find the ones that apply to you and tell your accountant about them and keep track of the expenses that you spent on. So this is episode 1086. So I hope you didn't miss episode 1085. That was 5 AI hacks that are immediately usable that are going to change the whole direction of using like ChatGPT. And I'm doing a summit on this coming up pretty soon, I think in middle of March, where I'll have loads of them, even more. So it'll be like a masterclass on it and save you tons of time, make you money, save you money, all that. And so episode 1085 will get you started on that. And anytime you want to get to a back episode, you go to screwthecommute.com/ and then the episode number. All right, make sure you pick up a copy of our automation ebook at screwthecommute.com/automate free. Version 3.0 is the latest, and check out my mentor program at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com and my school at imtcva.org, the only licensed dedicated internet and digital learning school in the country, probably the world, and is certified to operate by SCHEV, the State Council on Higher Education in Virginia. But you don't have to be in Virginia because it's quality distance learning that's going to give you a highly in-demand skill in as little as 6 months and not put you in debt for the rest of your life. Okay, let's talk about some tax deductions. Some of these I got from score.org, which is I think it's a government entity. It's where older business people volunteer to help younger business people, with business problems. But and I'll have the link to that in the show notes. But I have a whole bunch of bonus crazy ones that you probably never would have thought of. All right, so let's get going here. First thing is startup costs. You can deduct things that when you start a business. And I'm not even going to put numbers on all these things because I think I have about 30 or 40 of them. So I'm just going to go straight through. And I won't expand on them too much because I just want you to think, oh, does that apply to me? I should look that up and I should talk to my accountant about it or my bookkeeper or whoever's running your show. All right, taxes, fees, charitable contributions. I mentioned that recently when I donated a bunch of books to the library. Wages and payroll taxes, even for yourself, those are deductible. Retirement plans, bad debt, like if somebody didn't pay you for the services rendered, that's usually tax deductible. Your home office deduction, you really have to have an office. There's my cell phone going off. You can't just throw your laptop on your kitchen table, so you need to have a home office. Health insurance, that can be a biggie, a big deduction for you. Education and training, workshops and conferences you go to. Hey, my mentor program, if you get into it, or my school, all right? So check those out. Any kind of training to improve your profession. Any marketing you're doing. Travel and entertainment has changed recently, so I don't want to go too deep into that, but still part of that is tax deductible. Some people, make it a point of going to lunch with their clients, and some of that is deductible, okay? Or prospective clients even. Charitable mileage. So if you're volunteering for something, you can't take off for your time, but any expenses you incur in your volunteer work can, and mileage is one of them. Medical transport is deductible. Student loan interest that's paid by the parent is typically tax deductible. State sales tax on major purchases is typically tax deductible. Reinvested dividends, so you don't get taxed twice. So if you reinvest them and don't take them and spend the money, that's typically tax deductible. Moving expenses, depending on who you are, especially military, can be deductible. And especially if you're moving into a physical office, that's, pretty darn sure a business expense. Now, you're still living at your house, but you're moving a bunch of stuff to an office. Health savings plans, IRA contributions, those kinds of things. If you do take an early withdrawal on some of those things, you usually get a penalty, and I believe that's tax deductible. Legal fees, tax deductible. Some child independent care costs are deductible. Now, here's some of these are pretty off the wall that you probably didn't think of, but gambling losses are tax deductible. If you're a senior citizen, I believe you get a higher than average individual deduction. Personal property tax, like in Virginia, we get hit really hard with personal property taxes. Now, these ones I would have never thought of. Stop smoking classes, alcohol and drug rehab classes, fertility clinics. I mean, again, I'm not giving you advice on this stuff. I'm just making you think. If you've done any of this stuff, you have to push your accountant to say, okay, am I eligible for any of these deductions? Home improvements for medical purposes, if you had to put a ramp in or some, higher toilets or handles on the bathtub, that's typically deductible. Service animal fees, deductible. Listen to this one, worthless stock. So let's say you had stock in a pumpkin farm and they called off Halloween. I don't know. But anyway, worthless stock is like a capital loss, they call it. Any professional subscriptions that you apply for or have. Any energy efficiency things you do can be tax deductible. So by far, there's more than this, but I'm just trying, this should give you a heck of a lot of things to think about here. And I'm going to put the one to the basic ones in the score.org link in the show notes. But if you just type in business tax deductions that people forget about, you'll come up with loads of sites that go over this kind of stuff. But I want you to get, I know a lot of people are working on taxes nowadays, so I want you to get the best you can out of it. I don't want you to pay any more than you need to. I always say I started hiring employees. I mean, I had digital business, 97% profit. I was going to pay a lot of taxes. As I started hiring employees, I'd rather put people to work than buy bombs and just throw money away to all these crazy things you see the government spending them on. So there you go. So listen to this over again, make a list of all the ones that apply to you, and then research them and tell your tax person about them and see if you can get the bigger deductions, and then you can thank me anytime. But I think you should take advantage of the educational one by joining my school. I did this whole thing just to pitch my school. imtcva.org. You ought to check it out for you or your loved ones because it can totally change the course of their life, not put them in debt forever, and give them a highly in-demand skill that they can either work for somebody else, have their own business, or both. All right, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We'll catch you all in the next episode. See you later.